Tuesday, and welcome to CWC's Family Connections. I'm here with Pastor Jason, and we just want to touch base a little bit on your message from this past week and a couple of other things. So thanks for letting us drop into your house. So, Pastor Jason.
Yes.
James again.
5,
13.
We're almost done.
13, 14, and 15. So you started off a little bit of a recap, but then you got into the meat of 13, 14, and 15.
Right.
And you were saying that if you're afflicted, you pray. If you're happy, you
sing. You do a guitar solo.
Yeah, that was amazing. That I didn't realize that really meant
pluck the string. That's what that verse. That's what that word means. Pluck a string.
Your dad must have loved that.
Yeah, he did.
So, and then moving on, it was more about again sitting impatiently, letting God do the things that He wants to do, and you just letting Him do those things.
Right. Yeah. As I mentioned in the message there, James is kind of in the portion of his letter where he's just giving more examples of what he has already stated as far as patience and long-suffering. And I think, in a sense, saying take advantage of the hardships that come just because of the result of life.
Yeah.
And let God show you what He can do.
And that's kind of that is kind of the opposite of what sometimes people say the Christian message is, where you come to Jesus and everything's a bed of roses, and it's all just cakewalk.
I must have
through
missed
life.
that one. So.
Yeah, it really isn't like that. I know we suffer the same things that everybody else does. But we do it with a difference.
Right, and He's really the one that says, I didn't design you to handle all of this. This is a result of sin and the choices that you have made. What I've come is to say, I'll allow you to go to the end of yourself until you give up, and then know that I'm right here. And from that point on, James is saying, experience Him. Yeah. Don't just say you know Him or know about Him. Let Him be Himself. And so whatever your circumstances, there again, if you're afflicted, then go into His presence. If you're happy and things are great, go into His presence. If you're sick, bring some people around you and go into His presence. I mean, it's this invitation that basically says, no matter what situation you're in, there's one place He wants you to be, and that's right next to Him.
Well, in that last part there about, if you're feeling down or discouraged or something like that, to get together with other believers, that really resonated with me because of what we believe here at CWC and how we try to live that out. It's one thing to experience God, but he really is, I think, meant to be experienced in community in a lot of ways.
Right.
And we just don't get the full impact and the full appreciation of Him if we lock ourselves away in isolation.
Right. Yeah, because even if we have one-on-one experience with Him, it's still go out and kind of celebrate. And the next verse is going to be confess all of this to one another. So that's my next message. So I won't spill the beans on that. But it really does mean that whatever your experience has been, James is saying we need to learn from each other. We need to be there for each other. And yet the focal point always is on God and what He can accomplish.
Yep.
So,
yeah, it makes me think about how it must have been at that time with their gatherings. We've got this preconceived notion of church here. We come in, we sing some worship songs, and we listen to a message from one of us, and then we leave. And I get the impression that their connection, their sense of church back then was so much more intimate, I guess, with each other.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something that we're missing here in
maybe,
North America.
Yeah, because if you look back at historically what they were enduring. They were in harm's way.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people were moving away from Jerusalem. And so, they depended on one another because they knew that each individual didn't have all the resources that they needed. They could bring a part and a piece that other people needed, but they needed a piece from other people, and so it built a community. And there again, James is basically saying, if you don't know some of the stuff that you bring to the table, you'll go through life circumstances, and if you let the truth come in and reveal the character that you've got going on and allow the creator of that character to really blossom, you, in the middle of something that should look like your destruction, comes your greatest revelation. And at that point, it's not just for you, it's for everybody to come together and join. So
it really is the only way to become that person that God created you to be then.
Yeah, it really is, because otherwise, it's just like exercising or any of these things. I mentioned it. Human beings go down the path of least resistance, and so in order to be who we truly are, means that we have to be squeezed or pressed, and that's one of the words for afflicted. We don't want that, and so we're going to shy away from that unless we're forced into those things. And even then, we get to choose. Am I going to try to rely just on myself, or am I going to let God reveal who he is and in turn reveal who I am?
Yeah.
And that's really the whole letter. That's what James is asking. That it's a unique opportunity because of the life of God living within us. And in that pressure cooker time is the time where you get to see him be real, and he gets to reveal how and who you are.
Yeah.
So it really is unique, and yet there again, it is a choice.
Yeah.
So
And it being Easter last weekend and so on like that, it really, to me, Jesus died on the cross to save us from our sins. But that's more, to me, that's almost more of a consequence of what he did, as opposed to being the true focus of what his mission was here. He came here to me to enable us to live the life that God originally intended back in the garden with Adam and Eve.
Yeah, and there again, even that was, he wants to share his life, and the best way for him to share it is if he actually lives it, and yet he can live it within us. And so you're right, going to the cross cleared that path as far as sin. But if that's all that we really take away from Easter, then the whole raising to new life, which is the gospel message. I mean, it's the rest of the gospel.
Well, and in John 17, he prays before he even gets to the cross, and he says, the mission that you sent me to do, I got her done.
Right, yeah.
And so we have to, I think it's a call to us to look more deeply at the life that Jesus lived and give it as equal weight as to the cross. I don't think you can have one without the other, to me.
Right, yeah, and it really, I mean, if there was one phrase that people could say, what do you believe, what is Scripture about, what is God's heart, is Christ in you.
Yeah.
That's the whole, everything is summed up in that phrase. He wants to live in you. We need him to live in us. That's what we were designed for. And so every experience that we have is pointing towards that's the goal. That's the end point. And there again, even the word sin is to miss that mark. The mark is Christ himself in us. And so when we try to do anything other than fully embrace him living within us, that's the definition of sin. So we can tag on Christian, religious, or moral, or whatever we want. It doesn't matter, because he is that mark. And so affliction, any of these things that James has been talking about, is the true testing of, we can say we believe that, but is that what we live?
Yeah.
And we can say that we trust in him, but when it really comes down to it, do we?
Yeah.
So any of these circumstances really apply then our faith. And we talked a little bit about that in verse 15 about the prayer of faith, and then looked in Hebrews, what is faith? And it's not a wish, it's not a it's something that I heard, and so I'll try to hang my hat on that.
Yeah.
There's evidence, there's a substance, it's real, it's alive. And until we actually experience that, then it's just all knowledge in our head.
Yeah.
And so affliction in these hard times are the true revelation of, is this real or not?
Well, it was an amazing message. We might touch on a few of those points this Sunday coming up again, so we'll see what happens.
So when you say we'll, does that mean you?
Maybe.
Okay. Are you just going to put me in your pocket? And
Well, maybe I'll invite you up to
okay.
talk too.
Okay.
Put a couple of chairs
I'll
up
sit
there, and
close enough there.
we can have CWC Family Connections in front of everybody on Sunday morning.
Sounds great.
One of these days, maybe. Anyways, a couple of things coming up. Number one, May the 5th is National Day of Prayer.
It's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, the church is going to open up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to be open up all day for anybody who feels like they would like to come in and pray for the community, for family, for neighbors, for our nation, for the military, for businesses in the area, all those things. You're welcome to come in and pray during the day, and then at night from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, we're going to wrap up the National Day of Prayer with a bit of a prayer service and worship service. So circle that date on your calendar. That is May the 5th, right here at CWC. Then we have May 13th and 14th in Cloquet at Common Grounds Coffee Shop. They are doing 24 hours of prayer. It's going to start at 5 o'clock on May 13th, that's a Friday, and it's going to go till 5 o'clock May 14th, Saturday. CWC's worship team is taking part in this. We are going to be, they're going to be there from 11 till 1 on the 14th. And so we're not going to be doing worship night in May. This is taking the place of worship night. We ask all of you to come out and support CWC's worship team and support this whole 24 hours of prayer and worship whenever you can get there. I know a bunch of us are going to go out for a while, at least on Friday night. I don't think I'm going to be staying up all night. That will let the kids do that part. I'm too old for that anymore.
Yeah, you are.
But I will get up and get out there again early on Saturday morning and probably stay there for the better part of the day. So
Okay.
after I get my beauty rest.
Good.
So
Okay.
I can see that look on your face here. You can't get enough beauty rest. Anyways,
Didn't say it.
wanted to thank you for letting us drop in tonight. Keep those dates in mind again, and we look forward to seeing you on Sunday, either live and in person here at 10:30 in the morning, or online with our worship service that's broadcast out. So, thanks everybody. Have a great week, and God bless.